Alrighty, guys. Well, with respect to everyone's time, we're going to get started today. Welcome to our first webinar in our Ag series this season. As fall season is starting, we just want to kind of offer some information and portal overviews for everyone just to kind of get started with your soil sampling this year. So as people are joining, I'm just going to go over kind of some company information, and then we'll get into the agenda and introduction of Stacie Nelson. So welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today. For those of you who don't know, Midwest Labs is a company that has been family owned and around since 1975. Our mission here at Midwest Labs is to drive a positive impact on the lives of our employees, our clients, and our surrounding communities. We do this by recruiting talented individuals in many fields like chemistry, biochemistry, microbiology, animal science, agronomy, agricultural science, and environmental science. So some of you are able to come visit us in Omaha, Nebraska and do a tour. That is always an option for you, but also a little virtual tour here. We have about 12 or 13 buildings now, I believe, all here in Omaha, Nebraska, with different labs within the operation that can provide analysis for soil, plants, pet food, animal feed, food and beverage, compost, fertilizer, fuel, and environmental samples. So this just kind of dates back to back in 1975 when our original soils lab first opened up and became operational, and our feeds lab and metals. Later we had chromatography, microbiology, wet chemistry, foods lab, and then fuel lab last. So a little bit about myself. I have been a member of Midwest Labs for the past 5 years. I get to assist new clients like yourselves getting started with Midwest Labs for the first time. I like to train new and existing clients on how to use our myLab portal platform, which we will go over today. And then I also create training and educational materials for my fellow colleagues so that they can help educate their clients, and then of course clients like yourselves. I also help with any changes to our website, our myLab portal, and then any educational content that is produced by our team. So today with me, I have one of our account managers. She's our senior account manager, Stacie Nelson, on the agronomy team. And I'm going to let her introduce herself, and then we will go from there.
Thanks, Megan. My name is Stacie Nelson. I am the senior account manager on the agriculture account management team, and I have been a member of the Midwest Labs team for about 15 years. Started at the front desk and did a lot of soil data entry, entering the paperwork for the samples as they came in. Just always had my hands in the agriculture side of things, and then just kind of worked my way up, and I have been an account manager for the last 6 years. So as an account manager, I act as a liaison between the client and the lab. So if there are pertinent changes that are happening on the lab side, I help communicate that out to our clients. And then when our clients have questions, inquiries, concerns, we work as that communication piece back to the lab. I'm also working on making sure that there's consistency across multiple accounts. We have clients that, for whatever reason, have different locations or have multiple accounts due to the way that their company is set up. So I'm working to make sure that there's consistency across those accounts and just make sure everything operates smoothly. And just, the day-to-day inquiries coming through via email, phone, just our main contact us through the website, helping with those. And a big piece, or I shouldn't say a big piece, but a newer piece for me is working with clients on integrating through our API. So being that go-to person to help troubleshoot, if there's API connection issues, and then working with our IT team and the client's IT team to collaborate and figure out, if there is a breakdown, why is that happening? And then also on the initial setup piece.
Awesome. Thank you, Stacie. So for today's agenda, we're going to go over first of all, the online portal, our account management system, and then which includes all the different tabs that you'll see to the left-hand menu bar. So that goes over how to submit proper paperwork, how to view our available analysis, order your supplies, view your test results, and then of course pay those monthly invoices. Stacie's also here after that. So once you get a good feel for the portal, she can help answer your questions if you guys have any this year on what test do I choose? How do I know what is the best test to choose, and kind of some information there on our common soil packages each year, and then pricing and turnaround time and any other questions that you guys have. So let's first off take a tour of the portal. And if you don't have the address bookmarked, it is just mylab.midwestlabs.com. You can also access it from our Midwest Labs account or website, excuse me. So this is the login page. If you already have a login, you'll just come here like any other account and sign in. If not, you can come down here and create an account. So for now, I'm just going to log in. So the first tab you'll see is your user dashboard. And this is just kind of a nice overall snapshot of what's going on your account. So at the very top, you'll see these change from time to time. These are just informational banners that we post on here just to let you know, hey, there's a new method maybe for this test, or here's a survey we'd like you to take this time of year so we can get your feedback and improve things at our lab or things like that. Your notifications are just anytime access has changed or users have been added, and we will go over that here today. So I will show you how to add users to your account. Our FAQ section is much like our resources tab on the website. It just goes over some nice documentation that we've created, maybe like how to soil sample, plant tissue sample, domestic water, things like that. So it's just kind of a nice little area there to utilize. Your accounts will have, if you have multiple accounts, they'll show here, and then all of the users that are have been added to those accounts. Your recent analysis orders will show here. Your balance, if you have an invoice, and then your recent supply orders. So again, just a nice snapshot here. So for those of you who inquire about our catalog, you can view our catalog on the Midwest Labs website, or you can also click on the Available Analysis tab here in the portal. This is actually going to direct you to the website. And then it's going to bring up the full catalog. It might just take a minute for it to load here. The reason we're doing this here on the website is because this is in real time and updated each year pricing wise. So we just want to have one source of truth for all of our testing packages and pricing. You can zoom in. You can turn to the table of contents, which I'm going to just show you briefly. As of right now, it is broken out by our industries. So agriculture, nutrient management, feeds and pet food, food and ingredients, environmental, and fuel. You'll see here the table of contents. So say you're looking for your soil test packages. If you hover over any of the page numbers, they will turn yellow, and it will then jump to that page. So now you're just going to be on the soils testing page. You can also find this on our website under the agricultural tab or agriculture tab, but this is just kind of a nice location that goes over the different soil tests, which Stacie will cover, what's all included, pricing, turnaround time, etc. So the main thing that we like our clients to do on the portal is submit proper paperwork. The whole purpose of getting your tests back efficiently, making sure you have the right tests performed on your samples is all about proper paperwork. So we will hound you on this a little bit every year, and we will mention that if it's a printed handwritten submittal form, that's perfectly fine. We have those available on the website. But also the portal is wonderful because it makes everything faster to scan into the system and then get your samples back to the lab quicker. So we're going to go over just agriculture today, and clicking on the Submit Samples tab will take you to your submittal form. As you'll notice here, the red boxes are the required fields. So the first category you'll see is under sample type. You will choose agriculture. The second drop down has the standard sample types available under the ag industry. So we've got soil, plant, irrigation water, other solids, corn stalks, growth media, and seeds. If you ever have any questions about this, contact your account manager or myself, and I can help walk you through this process. But for today and the purposes of fall season, we're going to click on soil. So now, as I said earlier, you'll have these required boxes. So grower is either the farmer, or if that is yourself, then you would put your name in there. Farm and field are not required, but they are there if you need it. Additional email or comment, you can enter there as well, but again, not required. The sample ID is a number that you're creating and you're putting on each bag of soil. So this is something that you are creating yourself, whether that's, say, farm 1 and farm 2, field A, field B. It's however you've labeled those so that we know how to tell them apart. And then you'll come over here to the test box. Any of these packages, if you select them, and let's say you don't have your catalog in front of you, or you were questioning what was included, you can click on the little I next to the test package and it's going to pop up. For you, it will pop up with pricing. This is an internal account, so it's not reflecting. But this will tell you everything that's included in our S3C package and pricing. Also to note, you can select multiple tests. It's just going to populate below the test box. So you can have multiple tests there. It's not just one test. So for depth on soils, it's going to be 0-6. You can also add your crop recommendations here, and you can do up to 3 per sample. For today, I'm just going to do corn and soybean, and then click done, and you'll notice it's going to add those recommendations to the right. If you're just adding another sample, there's a couple ways you can do it. You can click on add sample, or you can click this plus button. Whatever number then you put in here, it's going to give you 10 additional samples, so 11 total. And you'll notice it dropped down everything for me. If you're doing sample ID sequentially, usually ideally on your account, it would just populate sequentially. So I'm not sure why it's not doing that today, but if it ever is not correct, all you have to do is go into each one and correct them. It might have just been because I had field. So if I would have started out with just one, it would have sequentially done that for me. Okay. So you'll notice now I have all of my sample IDs, all of my testing, and my depth 0 to 6, and my recommendations to the right. If you are familiar with subsoils and you need to add a subsoil, there's this little check, blue check. It's going to add your subsoil, and it's just going to do nitrate nitrogen on there. It just defaults to that. And you'll notice this little exclamation point popped up. That's anytime it's letting you know you're missing information. So here I have to do, Stacie, remind me, what's the subsoil depth that I need to put in there to make sure that's correct?
So typically it is 6 to 24. It's whatever the bottom depth is of the surface. And then, I don't know, some people go 24 or 12. Yeah, that's typically what we see.
Okay. So that's how you add subsoils. If you don't need a subsoil, you can always remove. Let's say I did too many samples, you can use these check boxes as well and do remove selected. And then let's say I want to take out a test, I can take that test out and then use this arrow to the right of any of those boxes. That's just going to push it down through all the samples. So now you'll notice I just have 8 samples and only for the S3C. So if everything looks good to me on soil, I'm going to click review order down at the bottom right. This will summarize everything for you, and it will summarize your total pricing. You can either click back to order to make edits, or you can click submit. So I'm going to click submit, and then you're going to notice here that this is your submittal form with this QR code in the top right. It's going to look like this. So it's going to say 1 to 8, S3C, and then it's going to have your recommendations. So that includes all of your samples that you put in there. So when we scan this code, all of those samples get entered for the S3C. You will physically print this submittal form off and put in the box with your soil samples. And then here's the address at the top left under our logo that you will ship to. So 13611 B Street. If you forgot to print this off or you need to come back later, anything you submit is stored under the View Documents tab. So if you come over to the View Documents tab, and you'll already be in your account, so this will just load. You will see the one that I did today for Farm 1, 8 samples. So then you'll just go over here to click order form and then print off and put in the box with your samples. So with regards to ordering supplies, you can order your supplies right here on this tab, just like a normal shopping cart. If there's supplies you are not seeing or you need large quantities or just have questions, you can always contact our client services or our account managers. We are happy to put in those orders for you. You'll notice here the soil bags, it says 1,000 per box, minimum 25. A lot of people ask, does that mean I'm ordering thousands of samples? You'll just put in your quantity. So if you need 25 bags, you'll put in 25 bags. If you need 100 bags, you'll put in 100 bags, if that makes sense. So just put in the quantity of the bags that you need. For soil bags, we do not charge you for the actual bags. We just charge you for shipping and handling. So you'll see that on your invoice the following month with the testing that you did. You'll see any supplies that were ordered. You can order labels on here as well, and keep in mind these are going to be mailed to you. I will also show you how to go to the shipping label tab and just print off a shipping label just like you did your submittal form. So in real time, you can just use that label today. So after you get your supplies added here, you'll just click View Cart. You will have a summary here and quantities and pricing. So if everything looks right, you'll just click next. You'll choose the address you're getting these supplies shipped to. You will confirm your address by selecting the little bullet next to the address. Click next. It's just summarizing everything again, and then you'll click submit order. And that's just going to notify our shipping team to get those items sent out to you. So as I said, you can come down here to shipping labels at any point and then choose your carriers according to your area. So here we have UPS, FedEx, and Speedy. We've changed it a little bit this year due to inflation and pricing has gone up with carriers. So it will reflect the correct pricing and the poundage. So you have drop downs for pounds. If you choose like a UPS ground 0 to 10, it's going to show you that it's $15. If you are wondering how to figure out the pounds, there's a document down here under use the following table that we created. It's just going to give you a nice little guide of if you're doing under 10 pounds, it's going to approximately hold about 6 soil samples. So that's a small box. If you're doing 10 to 20, it's going to hold about 12 soil samples, and so on and so forth. If at any point you have any questions on any of these things, you can always contact us so we can give you the best guidance there. So I'm gonna choose my ground and my 0 to 10. You can select as many shipping labels as you want to print off. We are only charging you for what you physically send us. So that box with that shipping label and that submittal form in that box, those are what's on your invoice the next month. So click next. Just like we did earlier with supplies, you're checking your correct address that you're mailing out from. You're confirming your address again, and then you're going to click print label. So this is going to populate just like your submittal form, and then you're able to just print this right off from your computer and then put that on the box to send to Midwest Labs. Make sure your paperwork is inside the box with your samples. If you have multiple boxes, we recommend maybe with a Sharpie on each box saying, 1 of 2, 2 of 2, and paperwork in each, so that when we're getting multiple shipments from you, our receiving folks are laying those out. We have all the samples in order, we have all the paperwork, and we know how many boxes you're sending us. You can also schedule a pickup here through the portal. There's a couple choices, Speedy and FedEx. So you'll just walk through the prompts. If you're setting up to be picked up here, you'll just choose your address and do schedule pickup. I'm not going to do that because it will actually send FedEx a notification that I need a pickup. So, but normally you'll schedule your pickup. If you have any questions, feel free to call them. So once your soil reports are done, which is about 3 to 4 business days turnaround time, you'll come in here. We will email you the report. And also you can come in here under view reports. So there's a couple ways you can pull back dates. You can search for a specific report or sample ID number. But for today, I'm just going to show you just a date range. If something is still being tested in the lab, you'll know by this orange in progress sign. So that one is not ready yet for you. I'm going to pull back my calendar here and see if I can get some more reports to populate. All right, so Stacie Nelson, she did one soil report here. So I can come in here and I can just view the PDF, which is exactly what we emailed to you. So it'll have all of your data. I can also come down here to the interactive report. So let's say I forgot to add a recommendation or I have a question on another type of recommendation. You can always call your ag account manager to get those added, but this is kind of a nice little real-time calculation for adding a new recommendation. So you'll just click on add recommendation, add that in there. And then when you click calculate, it's going to do that right here live on this page. So to either write down that information, screenshot this page, or save this somehow so that you have that calculation. It's not generating a new report. It's just showing you here on this screen. So I'm going to go back to view reports. There's a couple things you can do. If you check the box next to the report, you can email these reports to someone. You'll just have to choose your soil format and click email. Or let's say you have a lot of reports that you'd like to download into a CSV or a spreadsheet. Sometimes, mid-year, end of the year, people like to do that. So you can come in here and click view results. It's going to bring up all the reports that you selected, and then you're going to click export data. And then here's where you can choose either a CSV or a spreadsheet. And then once you click create file, it's just going to pop up and ask you if you'd like to save that to your desktop. So just like a normal spreadsheet process, saving it to your desktop. So we talked about multiple users on an account. If you are the admin on the account, you can come in here at any time under the account management tab down here. And it's going to give you all the users that currently have access to your account and their permission levels. So if you're looking to add a new person, you will come in here and add their email address. Click add user. And then you're going to have to select their permissions first. So full account admin gives you access to everything I've shown you today, and also permission to add users. Order tests would just be someone who's coming in here to submit sample paperwork. Someone who's just viewing reports would need view reports, order supplies, or billing. So it's a nice thing if you'd like to, parse out people that need different responsibilities within a larger account or a smaller account. It doesn't matter. But for today, I'm just going to select account admin. It's going to auto check all her permissions. And then I'm going to have to click save changes. All right, so you'll see permissions updated. So once you do this, let the person know they're going to get an email. It's an automated email that says click here to finish registering. It's going to have them set up their user details and their own password. So then once they set up their account or their information, they'll be able to log in and view just what you've given them permission to view, or if it's admin, they'll have full access. So you'll do that under account management tab. The My Profile tab is just like any profile. You can change information here. If you need an email address changed, as of right now, you will need to contact us, and that is because we would need to change it in our internal system where you get your automated reports. And then, so for testing done in September, you will get an invoice the first week of October, which will include all testing and all supplies from the month of September. When you click on view invoices, you'll get an invoice via email. So don't worry, you will get notified, but you can come in here at any point and click the view invoices tab, and it's going to look like this. So it's going to have your date range, just like your reporting tab. Oh, sorry. It's going to have your account number, invoice number, due date, amount, and then of course you can either click the blue invoice button to view your invoice, which will have your report numbers and supplies, so it's itemized out, or click pay invoice, which is going to take you to this screen. So this is just like an online little virtual terminal where you can put in your credit card number, accept the terms, save it for future use, and click process order. You can also send a check. You can also contact us by phone, and we can take your payment over the phone. This is just a nice option if you'd like to go in. A lot of people ask, if I do this once, does it auto pay every month? It does not. You have to come in here each month and pay separately for each invoice. So that's the basic overview of the portal and its functions. I do want to open it up. You can either obviously speak or use the chat function. And I can go in and show you things on the portal if you have questions, or we can have Stacie talk to you about what questions you have this year for your soil testing or selecting the correct tests. So I invite you guys to go ahead and let us know now. Oh, I have one quick question for really quick. It is a good one. If you've submitted a soil sample and you made a mistake on the submittal form in the portal, how can you cancel or edit it? So you cannot, that's a great question. You cannot cancel it, but don't panic. There's a little workaround. Any submittal forms you create in the portal, you can create as many as you want today. We're not charging you. As I said earlier, what's physically in the box is getting charged to you. So, but the nice thing is if you click on your user dashboard and you scroll down to your analysis orders, if you see that one that I just did, Megan Fonfera, Farm 1, 8 samples, and you notice those 2 little squares to the left of the date, if you click on those, it says copy to begin a new order. It's going to take you back to that page with all of your information already populated, which saves you a lot of time. So you can come in here and make your edits. So whatever those may be. I'm just doing a couple little things. I'm adding a test, taking out some samples. Maybe you have some recommendations you forgot about. Anything that you need, go ahead and make those edits. Once everything's filled out correctly and you're not seeing any orange exclamation points for information that's not added correctly, you'll click review order again. This is that page again where you can either go back to order or submit. This is creating a new submittal form. So discard the old one that you made a mistake on, print this one out, and then put this one in the box with your samples, if that makes sense. So you can make as many mistakes as you want. Just make sure you put the correct submittal form in the box. Okay, so here's another question. Can you go back over how to enter the 24-inch nitrate test, please? I will have both of the 6-inch soil samples and the 12 to 24 nitrates in the same field. Yes, so subsoils. So I'm going to go back to submit samples. I'm going to choose ag and soil, and I'm just doing a new one because it's easier and it's good to do repetition. So the more you get in here and do this, the better you get at this. So grower, sample ID, I'm just going to put 1. I'm going to choose my test. My depth for the main surface is 0-6. And then I'm going to click this little blue check. And if you notice when you hover, it says add subsoil, or it should say add subsoil. So I'm adding my subsoil. And then, as I said earlier, subsoils will automatically populate nitrate nitrogen for you because that is the test we're doing on your subsoils. The only thing it's going to make you fill out is the depth. So that's where Stacie was saying it's 6 to 18, 6 to 24, whatever that depth is, but it is in the same format, so it has to be 6-24. Yes, it worked this time. So I used the little arrow to the right and it said sample ID 2. So yes, if it's sequential, it should populate down through sequentially. If you have to make edits, you make edits. I'm going to populate down all the same information with these little arrows to the right. And then I'm also going to add another subsoil.
And it is possible to have 2 subsoils. So if you have like 0-6 and then 6-12 and 12-24, you can have up to 2 subsoils. and you would just click that little down arrow again.
It's making me type in the second one. Would these be 2 different depths then for subsoil?
Yeah. So I would put the first subsoil as like 6 to 12, and then the second subsoil 12 to 24.
Okay. That is good to know. So you can have multiple subsoils there.
And now what some people will do is if every location doesn't have a subsoil, they'll do multiple 0 to 6 inch samples, and then they'll have like one composite where they've gone 6 to 24. That one, since it's kind of its own sample, its own composite of all those separate areas, for that, I would just add an additional sample.
Like this?
Yep. And then you can put, comp sub. And then for your test, you can choose nitrate only. And then for the depth, you can put, 0 to 24 or 0 to 12. So that's a combination that we'll see sometimes.
Good to know. Yeah, you like Stacie said, just make it its own sample ID. All right, and then again, once everything's filled out, you'll do review order, and you'll see it looks a little different than before, but it does have your subsoils. And again, for your account, it will show the total pricing, so you'll have an idea of what your invoice total will be, and then you'll click submit order. And then that's how subsoils look here. And then you've got your comp here of your subsoils, and you'll see the different tests listed. And then you'll print that off and put that in the box with your soil samples. It's 2 full cups of soil per test. So if you're using our soil bags, please fill to the red line. If you're using Ziploc bags or other bags, just please make sure you do a full 2 cups of soil, because we're grinding that down and we're needing that soil. We also store soil after the fact if there's anything you need retested or added on later at a later date. So good questions so far. Does anyone have any other questions on maybe soil testing? Or Stacie, we have one here. What depth is normally recommended for deeper nitrate testing?
Sure. So I would say our most common combination is 0 to 6, 6 to 24, or 0 to 8, 8 to 24. Sometimes people are breaking it up like we did on that last submittal, where they will have 2 subsoils and they'll go 0 to 6, 6 to 12, and 12 to 24 to break out that soil profile to kind of see where that nitrate is sitting at. But usually going deeper than 24 inches is, we see that from some municipalities or engineering firms. It's not typically with agriculture soil.
Good question. Is there anything else you can think of, Stacie, that you'd like these guys to keep in mind? I know we went over how to include proper paperwork and label their boxes, but just things you see or maybe things to avoid this year?
I think those are 2 very good points to bring up. Just making sure that the paperwork is in the box with the samples, and if you are sending multiple boxes, making sure it's labeled on the outside of the box, 1 of 3, 2 of 3, 3 of 3. It helps our receiving room tremendously if they can lay those out in order, open them up, and if that paperwork, the paperwork doesn't have to be in every single box. If you put all the paperwork in one box, but you tell us all those boxes go together, they'll open up a box, they'll lay them out all together, they'll find that paperwork, and then they'll lay them out. But yeah, that is just so key to make sure our process runs as smoothly as possible. When there isn't paperwork in the box with the samples get set aside. Our sample resolution area. And, you know, with the volume that we're getting in the fall, you know, it could be a day to a day and a half before we've gotten through all of those sample resolution boxes and made all the proper reach outs to the clients that didn't send paperwork or didn't send enough sample. I guess that's something else to bring up is our soil bags have a red fill to line, and it is very important that the soil is filled to that red line. If not, I mean, I would say target in the middle of that thick red line. I don't know, Megan, if you have a picture of a soil bag anywhere on your, I'm trying to think where that would be. Anyway,
let me think.
Yeah, just making sure that we have enough sample. That's really important.
Here they are. It's
yes.
little, but here's, yeah. Does that help?
So, yep. So just making sure we have enough sample to do the analyses.
Okay, good points too. Good points too. So let's see. I am a beginner. Are Rex the crops I plan to grow? So can you go over recommendations, Stacie?
Yes. So recommendations, when we, you know, on that submit samples form, when it says add Rex, that's basically you are telling us that you want us to put recommendations on the report. The recommendations are going to come back very generalized. It'll just be in pounds per acre of nitrogen, phosphate, potash, and that's of actual. So then when you get those recommendations back, you'll take those recommendations, you'll look at the products that you're going to use and see how much of the product or what part of the product is nitrogen, phosphate, potash, and then you'll calculate out how much of that product you need to meet the recommendation. It's not going to be a perfect scenario, but you know, if it's calling for you know, nitrogen, no potash, no phosphate, you know, then you're just looking for a nitrogen only product. So yes, for a new flower farm, yep. So you would put your intended crop to be flowers, and then if you go to add Rex and you put the intended, so the first drop down menu is your intended crop. So you'll put flowers, and then if it was nothing before, we do have an idle option as previous, or there's an unknown option if you don't know what was being grown there. And if you'll notice, that middle yield goal is filled out with a code 96. That's just best. So we're giving you the best yield goal for flowers. It's also going to come with a graph report. So you'll see your recommendations and your results more of on a graph basis, and then it'll actually break out your recommendations into pounds per 1,000 square feet, pounds per 100 square feet, and pounds per acre. So you know, typically if you're growing flowers, that's probably going to be a smaller area than the pounds per acre recommendations that we give for a row crop.
Perfect. Okay, so then what, maybe you brought this up, but what tests would make sense for a new flower farm?
Anytime somebody's coming to me and saying that it's a new piece of property and they've never had it tested before, I always recommend the S3C. That's going to give them all macros, all micros, nitrate, nitrogen, soluble salts, excess lime. It's just a full gamut type test that's going to give you a good baseline. Once you kind of have that baseline of, say, like your micros, for instance, you might not need to retest those every year. You can just, you know, if you're, say, it comes back and your pH is really high and you're going to start using elemental sulfur to bring that pH down, and you want to recheck that every year. Well, then you could do a smaller test that's, you know, only checking for, you could do pH only, or you could do like our smallest package, which is the S1A, if you're just rechecking something like that. But for getting started, I really encourage people to run that S3C package.
And what's that run with Rex and without again?
Currently it is $26.78 without recommendations, or $27.83 with recommendations.
Okay, so again, just reiterating, paperwork only goes in one box, not in every box. And Stacie kind of just touched on that a little bit. As long as you're labeling your boxes, one of two, two of two, so we know, multiple boxes are holding your samples. Stacie said the paperwork only needs to be in one box, as long as we know how many boxes are there. It's not a terrible thing to be over prepared though. So if you do, no punishment to you. We just need that. We need that paperwork. So here is another question. What is the procedure if after you submit samples and send them off, you realize that you want to change the test, for instance, to let's say from an S1A to an S3C? So good question. So they've already shipped their box to us with the wrong test. Stacie, what do you recommend that they do next?
You can reach out to your account manager, or we have a group email for all the ag account managers. It's agronomyteam@midwestlabs.com, or you can call in and ask for one of us. But we have an option to edit the subform on our side, so we can change that to an S3C. Also, we do keep retains of the samples for about, well, it depends on the time of year. When we're busy in the fall and in the spring, we'll have the retains for about 10 days. So if you want to make changes and you want to upgrade from an S1A to an S3C, we can add on those tests and run the tests on the retained sample that we have. In our slower time, we usually have the samples for up to 30 days. So you have a little bit more time if it's an off season, but definitely during busy season, if you see your results come back and you're missing something, give us a call right away. We'll get those tests added on, and and we can upgrade from an S1A to an S3C, or any additional tests that you want, we can add on.
Okay, awesome. Good question. And then I just put in the chat the email address that Stacie referenced. So agronomyteam@midwestlabs.com goes to herself, Brendan, and Stephanie, which they are all our account managers for the ag side. Great questions today, guys. And again, Stacie and I are here all the time for assistance, so you can always call in. If you think of questions after today, or you want a little bit of a one-on-one coaching on the portal, I'm available as well anytime for that. We will do another webinar in October where you can meet all of the ag account management team and kind of do a mid-season check-in, kind of go over some reports and things like that. And then also in November, we're kind of going to do a recap of the season, and where our field reps, who are usually on the road, they're the ones that kind of go over in depth with you your reports, results, and then recommendations and things like that. So we will be recording today's webinar, so we will share that out with you. You can send those to your teams and things like that to reference, but also check back anytime for webinars, and then also, of course, any one-on-one training that you guys need from us. I'm going to put this slide up here at the end for you guys before you sign out. It's Stacie and myself, direct numbers and email addresses. So I will leave those up as everyone's kind of signing off today. Please reach out with any additional questions. But unless you have any more questions, we appreciate your time today and your business, and we look forward to working with you this season.